Yo, what's going on people? It's your boy Huncho, back at you again with another video, and today we'll be going over the ongoing trial of a shooting that happened back in September of 2020. Long-time subscribers of the channel will remember me covering this, but if you haven't seen the initial coverage and you want to go ahead and watch that, I will leave that video linked down in the description below. But we are going over the events today in more detail because of course this is the trial. So you might not have to, but the option's there if you do want to view it. Now, what is this shooting that we're talking about? Well, this surrounds a 15-year-old boy who had been shot in the head and neck in the morning of September 7th, 2020 on his way to Kesgrave High School in Suffolk. Now, instead of me breaking down a timeline of events, let's jump straight into today's trial coverage to see what's being said in court, because there they break everything down anyway. Disclaimer, anything that I do say in this video is all just alleged because this is an ongoing criminal court trial. So in court it was heard that the now 16-year-old boy who was the shooter was charged with attempted murder, possession of a shotgun with intent to endanger life, and wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, and a charge of possessing a shotgun with intent to cause fear of violence, all to which he denied. It was heard that this attack had been planned in the months prior due to the gunman, who was 15 at the time, being bullied by the victim, but it should be noted that both boys were in the same friend group. The bullying was described as, quote, low level, such things as random slaps to the back and pushing over tables. According to friends, it was nothing serious. A friend who was also in the friend group recalls the shooter telling him in October of 2019, firstly going on to say that he wanted to shoot someone, but no one specifically at that point, and he also spoke to him about buying a Browning pistol. In December of 2019, he would go on to tell this same friend that he wanted to shoot the victim, but the friend brushed it off as he thought it was a, quote, fantasy. But 3 days before the shooting went down, he had mentioned it to the same friend. Laying out a timeline of events to the court though, it's believed that at the time the 15-year-old shooter took his father's Saab car and his grandfather's double-barreled Beretta shotgun in the early hours of the 7th of September 2020 and started to drive towards Kesgrave just before 7:13 AM. At around 8:40 AM, the shooter then heads over to the victim's address, and the victim himself recalls saying goodbye to his mother before stepping out of the house on his way to the first day of the new term. When he stepped out though, he recognised a car owned by the shooter's father parked on the other side of the road, but of course the shooter had been in his father's car, if you remember. When he steps out, he goes on to say that he sees the person who he thought he'd been friends with standing beside the boot of the car with the shotgun in hand. He goes on to say that he points the shotgun towards him and orders him to get into the car, but the victim refuses to do so. The next thing the victim recalls is hearing a bang and then falling to the ground, as well as the shooter looking calm as he bled out. The extent of his injuries hasn't been given as of yet, but what we know so far is that the wounds were reported to have been to the face and neck, which had left the victim with brain damage and being partially paralyzed. The blast to his face had even left his inner structures exposed. Firearms experts would go on to tell police that the muzzle of the gun was between 0.5 and 1.75 meters from the victim's face when the trigger was pulled at, quote, very close range. According to witnesses, the victim's mother heard the gunshot and ran to the window before screaming whilst looking at her son in a pool of blood on the ground. The teenager then lifted up the gun, seemingly to show it to the mother as she screamed, "What have you done?" It was believed that the shooter had a smug, almost righteous look, but didn't say anything in response. The victim's mother then ran downstairs in fear that the shooter would drive over the victim's body as he drove away, and according to the prosecution, they said, quote, he may have just thought that he didn't need to and that he had already finished him off. It's also believed that a local neighbour by the name of Christopher Fay had looked out of his bedroom window after hearing the shooting, and he described the teenage shooter as cool and calm and also didn't rush. The prosecution would go on to say that the shooter even went on to point the gun at Christopher, which caused him fear that he was going to be shot next. After the shooting, the teenager then jumps back into the Saab which he drove to the area in and was arrested 2 hours later after he was found sitting in that same car close to his grandfather's home in Ipswich. Officers smashed a window to get him out and found the shotgun on the back seat with 2 boxes of cartridges. When he was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder and told he was accused of shooting someone in the face, he replied, "I'm 100% guilty of that." And later he told officers, "I've done what I wanted to do, as scummy as it is. I will 100% cooperate with you." But throughout interviews, it should be noted that he gave no comment. And so it seems like we have some more details surrounding this Kesgrave shooting. Over the next couple of days, we should get more details in regards to injuries and stuff like that. Of course, when I do get more details that I do feel like I should share with you guys, of course I will make a follow-up video. I'm going to hold back from giving my thoughts on this video until this whole situation is done though, because we have to remember that this is an ongoing trial and I wouldn't want to give bias as it stands right now. So of course that is everything surrounding this situation. But again, when I do get updates, I am going to keep you guys posted on this one. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this down in the comment section below. Give the video a little like, and if you want the latest drill, street and music news out of the UK, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your boy Huncho, and I'm out.